to close.
Today is Tuesday, the 27th of August 2024, and today's edition of the tabloid The I newspaper has got a feature-length piece which appears to be an investigation of its own, not repeated in any other papers as far as I can see, about Angela Rayner and the housing program that the Labour Party government has claimed it is embarked on. Now, the conclusion, based on the interviews and visits in the Manchester area, is that the project is not only unsuitable but is also misdirected. And the strongest point that they make in the piece is that full proper funding for the building of the housing program or houses should be made available. And it seems that the regime fronted by Starmer is not really as well informed as it should be about housing, the actual loss of housing, especially social housing, and the destruction of council housing stock, such as occurred in Tower Hamlets between the years 2003 and 2006, under the direction of Tony Blair, and exercising the muscles of the Deputy Prime Minister, who was the minister involved in the cabinet for housing, John Prescott. Prescott put maximum pressure on the then Labour-controlled Tower Hamlets Council regime to hand over most of the council housing stock to a cabal called Haque. This was quickly followed by the similar pressure on the council to hand over the rest of the housing stock to a similar cabal called Tower Hamlets Community Housing, THCH. And that destroyed the actual capital stock. The maximum stock of the Tower Hamlets Council housing was handed over to Haque and THCH. Now, in 2024 prices, it is worth billions of pounds. Now, there is no way that the Keir Starmer fronted regime is even going to make 1 billion available, let alone billions available, to replace the social housing that was robbed and looted from the councils. Now, that is Tower Hamlets, and that is only one council. That if we extrapolate that statistics across the hundreds of councils across England, you can see the amount, the extent of the actual problems caused by the government. Homelessness, housing shortage, caused by the government by making local councils deny housing, social housing, to most of the people most eligible and most in need of social housing. So the outcry about housing shortage, about homelessness, about rough sleeping, and all the rest of it, these are empty outcries because they're not accompanied by the presentation of the actual facts on the ground. And basically, the fundamental argument in support of social housing, what is called, in other words, affordable housing, this is really a slogan. This is not implemented by the policy thinking, by the decisions made by local councils. For example, in Collyhurst, in Greater Manchester area, where the newspaper visited local residents, they say that the local council, a smaller council than the Greater Manchester Council, that this smaller council had been plotting for the last 5 years to do something that is now only surfacing now after the 4th of July 2024 election. And there has been no disclosure to the local people, to the people most likely to be affected by the adverse policy decisions by the local small council of their plot. And the plot is to create, instead of habitable, proper, and adequate housing, they are trying to create an exhibition like town center housing so that they can exhibit those as achievements. So, this is part of the issue. The problem is not just that, the problem is also with the cabinet member, Angela Rayner, who is very ignorant. When she was Shadow Education Secretary, I had reason, factually, on the grounds of cases that I was dealing with, to communicate to her various issues, various facts, and various questions. Angela Rayner, being Shadow Education Secretary, did not acknowledge one single communication. There were dozens. She did not answer any of the questions, and she did not address any of the issues or concerns that were raised either in Parliament or elsewhere. And then with the scandal about Wahid Ali getting a all-purpose access to number 10 Downing Street, Keir Starmer is already in hot water. There is scandal brewing in every corner. And in essential fact, despite the fact that there is a very heavy landslide majority in the House of Commons, that number will mean nothing. If there is a moral outrage which is building up against the regime fronted by Keir Starmer, then no matter how many members of parliament can guarantee a vote on any bill that he can put on the table, that will evaporate. So we shall be continuing updating on the facts, on the issues as the facts appear. Going back to the local councils, for example, Tower Hamlets, Newham, and other local councils, the quality of delivery of a policy that is consistent with the needs of the ordinary people, the quality is low. And based on the evidence that has been published by the private eye in issue 1630, about now 22 or 23 elected local labor councillors of Newham filing formal complaints against the executive mayor, Ruxana Fias, because of her arrogance, her bullying, and her hostility and animosity towards elected councillors. There is no evidence to support the thesis that Ruxana Fias is bothered about delivering anything that is accountable, that is transparent, that meets the needs of the people of Newham. Over to Tower Hamlets and the evidence of the bribery demanded by 5 of Luther Rahman's Aspire councillors from an applicant for renewal of a license. It shows that the corruption, despite the fact that the ruling by Richard Morey on the 23rd of April 2015 showed that contained clear assertion that Luther Rahman was unreliable. He was not a credible witness. There is no chance. The Tower Hamlets, the dysfunction added by the robbery of the social housing stock, the council housing stock, is going to be addressed. They don't even recognize that. And if the statement made by Rabina Khan on the 26th of June 2013, in response or attempted response to my question, which I was in the middle of presenting to the full council on that day, there is no way the Townless Council is going to even acknowledge the existence of the problem, let alone do anything about it. And then this was exacerbated by Rabina Khan's lying on the 3rd of July 2013, when I put a question to the cabinet, one sentence question to the cabinet, allegedly chaired by Lutfur Rahman on that date. So we shall be continuing all of